Om Gangadpatay Namah. Jai Shri Krishna friends. My dear devotees, today we will listen Shrisaisatcharitr chapter 2. Today we will know about objective of writing the work, incapacity and boldness in the undertaking, the heated discussion conferring the significant and prophetic title of Himanpant and the necessity of a guru. First, we will know about objective of writing the work. In the first chapter, I described Sai Baba's miracle of checking and destroying the epidemic of cholera by grinding wheat and throwing the flour on the outskirts of the village. I also heard about some more miracle of Sai Baba to my great delight, and this delight inspired me to write this poetic work. I also thought that the description of these grand miracles would be interesting and instructive to Baba's devotees and would destroy their science. So I began to write about the sacred life and teaching of Sai Baba. The life of the saints is neither logical nor dialectical. It shows us the true and great part, incapacity and boldness in undertaking the work. Himanpant initially believed that he was not fit to undertake this work. He said, I do not know the life of my intimate friends and nor do I even know my own mind. Then, how can I write the life of a saint or describe the nature of incarnations, which even the Vedas were unable to do? One must be a saint himself before he could know other saints. Then how can I describe their glory? To write about the life of a saint is the most difficult of undertakings. One may as well measure the depth of the water of the seven seas or enclose the sky with cloth. I knew that this was the most venturous of undertaking and that it might expose me to ridicule. I therefore invoked Sai Baba's grace. The most famous poet saint of Maharashtra, Sri Gyaneshwar Maharaj, has stated that the Lord loves those who write about the lives of saints. The saints also have a peculiar method of getting the service which the devotees long for successfully accomplished. The saints inspire the world and the devotees become merely an indirect cause of instrument to achieve this end. For instance, in 1700 Shak year, the poet Mahipati aspired to write about the lives of saints. Saint inspired him and got the butter. Similarly, in 1800 Shaka year, Das Kanu service was accepted. The latter wrote 4 works, Bhakta Vijaya, Saint Vijaya, Bhakta Leelamrit and Saint Kathamrit. In chapter 31, 32 and 33 of the Bhakta Leelamrit and in chapter 57 of the Saint Kathamrit, the sweet life and teaching of Sai Baba are very well depicted. These have separately been published in the Sai Leela magazine. The readers are requested to read these chapters. Sai Baba's wonderful Leelas are also described in a small book named Shrisaisatcharitr Bhajanamala. My Mrs. Savitribai Raghunath Tendulkar of Bandra Das Kanu Maharaj has also composed various sweet poems on Sai Baba. A devotee named Amidas Bhavni Mehta has also published some stories about Baba in Gujarati. A few editions of the Sainath Prabha, a magazine produced by the Dakshina Bhiksha Sansthan of Shirdi, have also been published. Then one might ask the question, since so many works regarding Sai Baba exist, why should this Shrisaisatcharitr be written and what is its necessity? The answer is plain and simple. The life of a Sai Baba is as wide as deep as the infinite ocean, and everyone can dive deep into it and take out precious gems of knowledge and devotion and distribute them to the aspiring public. The stories, parables, and teachings of Sai Baba are indeed wonderful. They will give peace and happiness to people who are afflicted with sorrows and heavily loaded with the misery of worldly existence and will also bestow knowledge and wisdom both in the worldly and spiritual domains. If these teachings of Sai Baba, which are as interesting and instructive as Vedic lore, are listened to and meditated upon, the devotees will get what they long for: union with the Brahman, mastery in Eightfold Yoga, bliss of meditation, etc. So I thought that I should compile these stories, and thus that would be my best service. This collection would be very delightful to those simple souls whose eyes were not blessed with Sai Baba's darshana. So I set about collecting Sai Baba's teaching and expression, the outcome of his boundless and nature self-realization. It was Sai Baba who inspired me in this matter. In fact, I surrounded my ego at his feet, thought that my path was clear and that he would make me quite happy here and in the next world. I could not myself ask Sai Baba to give me permission for this work, so I requested Mr. Madhavrao Deshpande, Baba's most intimate devotee, to speak to him for me. He pleaded for my cause and said to Sai Baba, "This Anna Sahib wishes to write your biography, so don't say that you are a poor, begging fakir and that there is no need to write it. Instead, if you agree and help him, your feet will accomplish the work. Without your constant and blessing, nothing can be done successfully." When Sai Baba heard this request, he was moved and blessed me by giving me his udi and placing his boon, bestowing hand on my head, said, "Let him make a collection of my stories and experiences and keep notes and memos. I will help him. He is only an outward instrument. I shall myself write my autobiography and satisfy the wishes of my devotees. He should get rid of his ego and surrender it at my feet. He who acts like this in life, he might have the most." And about my love stories, I serve him in his house in all possible ways. When his ego is completely annihilated and no trace of it remains, I myself shall enter into him and shall write about my own life. Hearing my stories and teaching will create faith. Hearing my stories and teachings will create faith in devotees' hearts, and they will easily get self-realization and bliss. Let there be no insistence on establishing one's own view, no attempt to refuse others' opinion, and no discussion of pros and cons of any subject. The word discussion reminded me of my promise to explain the story behind my receiving the title of Himanpant. And now I shall relate this story. I was very friendly with Pakat Sahib Dikshit and Nana Sahib Chandolkar. They blessed me to go to Shirdi and receive Baba's darshan, and I promised them to do so. But something happened meanwhile which prevented me from going to Shirdi. The son of a friend fell ill. My friend tried all possible means, physical and spiritual, but the fever would not abate. At length, he got his guru to sit by the side of his son's bed, but this too was of no avail. Hearing this, I thought to myself, what is the utility of the guru? If he could not save my friend's son, if the guru can't do anything for us, why should I go to Shirdi at all? Thinking in this way, I postponed my Shirdi trip. But the inevitable must happen, and it happened in my case as follows. Mr. Nana Sahib Chandolkar was going on tour to Basan from Thana. He came to Dadar and was waiting for a train bound for Basan. In the meanwhile, a Bandra local train arrived. He sat in it and came to Bandra, sent for me and took me to task for putting off my Shirdi trip. Nana's argument in favor of my Shirdi trip was convincing and delightful, and so I decided to start for Shirdi the same night. I packed my luggage and started for Shirdi. I planned to go to Dadar and from there to catch the train for Manmad. And so I booked myself a ticket to Dadar and sat in the train. As the train was about to start, a Muslim man came naturally to my compartment and seeing all my paraphernalia, asked me where I was going. I told him my plan. He then suggested that I should go straight to Boribandar and not get down at Dadar, for the Manmat meal did not stop at Dadar at all. If this little miracle had not happened, I would not have reached Shirdi the next day. A desire and many doubts would have assailed me, but that was not to be. As fortune favored me, I reached Shirdi the next day before 10 a.m. Kaka Dikshit was waiting for me there. This was in 1910, and there was only one place, Sateswada, for logging Ram devotees. After alighting from the Tanga, anxious to receive darshana, when the great devotee Tatya Sahib Nolkar returned from the masjid, he said that Sai Baba was at the corner of the Vada. I should first receive Baba's preliminary darshana, and then after a bath, I ran and prostrated before Baba, and my joy knew no bounds. I found more than what Nana Chandorkar had told me about. All my senses were satisfied, and I forgot thirst and hunger. The moment I touched Sai Baba's feet, I began a new lease of life. I felt obliged to those who spurred me on and helped me to receive darshana, and I considered them my real relatives. I can never repay their debt. I can only remember them and prostrate before them. The peculiarity of receiving Sai Baba's darshana, as I discovered, is that by receiving his darshana, our thoughts are changed. The force of previous actions is abated, and gradually non-attachment or dispassion toward worldly object grows. It is by the merit of actions in my past births that Sadarshana is attained. The heated discussion. One day I arrived in Shirdi. There was an argument between myself and Bala Sahib Bhate regarding the necessity of a guru. I contended, why should we lose our freedom and submit to others when we have to do our duty? Why is the guru necessary? One must try his best and save himself. What can the guru do for a man who does nothing but sleeps indolently? And Mr. Bhate took up the other side and said, whatever is bound to happen must happen. Even great men have failed. Man proposes one day, but God disposes the other day. Brush aside your cleverness. Pride or egoism won't help you. This discussion, with all its pros and cons, went on for an hour or so, and as usual, we did not arrive at a decision. We had to stop the discussion ultimately. As we were both exhausted, the net result of this was that I had lost my peace of mind and discovered that unless there is strong body, consciousness and egoism, there will be no argument. In other words, it is egoism which breeds argument. The significant and prophetic title. When we later went to the masjid, Baba asked Kaka Sahib Dikshit what was going on in the Vada. The significant and prophetic title. When we later went to the masjid, Baba asked Kaka Sahib Dikshit what was going on in the Vada. What was the discussion about? And staring at me, Baba added, what did this Hemant say? Hearing these words, I was rather surprised since the masjid was at a considerable distance from Sathi's Vada, where the discussion happened. How could Baba know about our discussion unless he was omniscient and the inner ruler of us all? I began to wonder why Sai Baba would call me by the name Hemant Pant. This word is a shortened version of the name of Himadri Pant. Himadri Pant was a well-known minister of the king Mahadev and Ramdev of Devagiri of the Yadavs dynasty. He was very learned, good-natured, and the author of works such as Chaturvarg Chintamani and Raj Prashasti. He invented and started new methods of according and was the originator of Modi script. But I was quite the opposite and dull and mediocre intellect. So I could not understand why the name of title was conferred upon me. But upon thinking seriously about it, I thought that the title was a dart to destroy my ego, so that I would always remain meek and humble. It was also a compliment paid to me for my skill in the argument. When we look at things in retrospect, we know that Baba's calling Mr. Dabholkar by the name of Hemant Pant was significant and prophetic. As future years showed, he looked after the management of Sai Sansthan very intelligently and maintained its account professionally. He was also the author of such a good work, the Shrisaisatcharitr, which deals with important spiritual subjects such as Jnana Bhakti, dispassion, self-surrender and self-realization, about the necessity of a guru. Hemant Pant has left no note or memo about what Baba said regarding this subject, but Kakasaheb Dikshit has published his notes regarding this matter. The day after Hemant Pant's first meeting with Sai Baba, Kakasaheb went to Baba and asked whether he should leave Shirdi. Baba said yes. Then someone asked Baba, "Where should he go?" Baba replied, "Higher." Then the man asked, "How is the way that leads there?" Baba said, "There are many ways leading there. There is one way from here too. The way that begins here is difficult. The way that begins here is difficult. There are tigers and wolves in the jungles on the way." Kakasaheb then asked, "But Baba, what if we take a guide?" But Baba, what if we take a guide with us? Baba answered, "Then there is no difficulty. The guide will take you straight to your destination, avoiding wolves, tigers, and ditches on the way. If there is no guide, there is a danger of your being lost in the jungle or falling into ditches." Mr. Dabholkar was present on this occasion and he thought that this was the answer Baba gave to the question about whether a guru was necessary. Thus he took the hint that no discussion of the question whether man is free or bound is of any use in a spiritual matter. On the contrary, real Paramartha is possible only as a result of teaching of the Guru. This is illustrated by the examples of great avatara like Rama and Krishna, who had to submit themselves to their gurus, Vasishtha and Sandipani, respectively. To attain self-realization, therefore, the only virtues necessary for such progress are faith and patience. Bo to Shirdi Sai. Peace be to all.